After doing the JIT.change, I guess what the absolute difference, so we're going to look at our frame differencing. There's two things we could do here. Let me just make both the objects anyway so you can check it out later. New object and JIT.iter. We're looking at different ways here of basically getting this the video matrix out as a max list so we can control audio. There are other objects that more directly translate video into sound. There's examples all over the examples folder. You should check it out. But in this case here, I'm going to get this jitter matrix out as max information. JIT.iter is great. It gives you the, as you can see on the outlets, it gives you the coordinates as well as the values in the matrix. If you're going to use this as a means of, because this is good because you can trigger different things according to places within the positions in the matrix. That's really great. What I would suggest if you're going to use this is to make your matrix slightly smaller than 320 by 240, because that's kind of 240 by 320. Yeah, that's a lot of coordinates. Anyway, that's not the one I'm going to use. I'm going to make a new object with the one I am going to use, which is called JIT.3m. Awesome. The first thing that comes up. JIT.3m provides, as we can see scrolling over the outlets, it provides a minimum for the matrix, a mean of the matrix, and a maximum value in the matrix. Alright, so it only spits out one of those values every time the matrix comes through it. We're going to use the mean value of this matrix to drive, let's say, an FM synthesizer. To make a little simple FM thing, we're going to need a oscillator. So we'll make a cycle tilde, new object, cycle tilde. I guess I'll put a frequency in there. I don't know if I need it right yet. Actually, I need two oscillators, one to be the modulator and one to be the carrier. So I'm going to just duplicate that again, holding Option key or Alt on my PC and clicking and dragging. That is good. And what else? We're going to need some kind of constant frequency for this, if this is the carrier frequency. And for that, I'm going to use a new object called sig tilde, and we'll put the frequency of the carrier in that. That's the carrier frequency, all sorts of FM theory if you like. And we're going to add the frequency, we're going to add the signal coming out of here to this sig. But first thing, we probably need to scale this. This will be scaling the amplitude of this modulator, and to do that we'll use this mean value. Maybe make a new object here. I'm going to make that much bigger, the range coming out of the mean here. So that will be a value between 0 and 255, but then just multiply the hell out of it, multiply it by 100. Again, this is a multiplier, you can see, that doesn't have a tilde because we're dealing with max values now. And we're going to multiply, we actually will be multiplying signal, even though we have signal with a float, we will be multiplying signal. Okay, so let's use a multiplier, again n for new object, multiply, or the asterisk thing with the tilde on it. Awesome, we take that, we're just multiplying signal by this big value coming out of JIT.3m, and we're going to add this modulator to this carrier frequency using plus, and again n for new object plus tilde. And there we go, there's our carrier frequency, there's a modulator coming in here, and they're both adding into the frequency of this oscillator, which makes, of course, this 220 frequency here doesn't mean anything anymore because we've just written over it. One other thing before I put it out to sound is probably scale it a little bit so I don't go deaf. A new object, and I'm going to multiply the amplitude by 0.2. Let's say that should keep it a little more controlled in terms of the loudness. I need one more thing down here, and that's my Easy DAC. So I'll double click, bring up my palette, and take one of these Easy DACs. Yeah, awesome. And that goes at the very bottom where the sound comes out. I'll have it through my left speaker because I'm not feeling like listening to it in stereo today. Let's just check this thing out now. We'll turn on this metronome. We have our video playing. We see the frame differences, and that's what's triggering the audio. And we listen to that, and we've got ourselves some FM. Alright, some FM where the index of modulation is being controlled by the movement, the amount of movement in the video, which is the frame difference. Alright, let's just, before we leave today, I want to show you a way to record the video with the sound using an object called jit.vcr. Maybe you want to record this for posterity, put it in your music video or something. Alright, so let's make a new object called jit.vcr, and you can see by scrolling over the inlets here, it has two audio inlets and it has a video inlet. Perfect. So we can take our original video up here and stick it in the video inlet, and we can take our audio and stick it in the, I'm not sure if that's real easy to see now. Let me move that up a little. Alright, so yeah, you can see we've hooked up our video into this right inlet of VCR and the audio into the left and middle inlets, which is left and right. This is mono, but hey, who cares? And then we can make a couple new messages. A message to write, if I can spell that, write the video, and another message to stop, maybe more importantly, M for message, if you've forgotten already. There's a stop message, which this thing by default, the jit.vcr records at pretty high frame rate, or 30 frames per second, I think, and raw video, meaning it's going to be pretty expensive on your hard drive if you keep this running. Alright, the thing that you need to do before getting VCR to work is that you need to start your audio. VCR doesn't work unless your audio is running, and well, you don't need your video running, but you might as well. Actually, I think you do need your video running. You hit the right message and it brings up the dialog box for you to choose where to record it to. I'll record it to my desktop and I'll call it Scooby or something. That's perfect. And I'm going to now that I've hit the right, you can't hear a thing I'm saying. If you hit the right, you are currently writing the video, and then when you hit stop, you stop writing. That's perfect. We can verify that this indeed did write. I'm opening up on my desktop here. I'm opening up the Scooby movie. This is going into QuickTime. Looks like we're going to crash any moment. You never know. Alright, there it is. This is what I just recorded, along with what I'm playing back. Okay, so I hope that gives you something to play with. Again, you can look at this jit.editor, maybe I will in a future tutorial, but until such a time, I bid you farewell.